Hello guys and gals, my name is Dr. Pettis at Dr. P Learning. At this channel, I teach project-based and hands-on CTE and STEM content. We focus on engineering-based projects, CAD, and 3D printing. If that is of interest to you, you're at the right place. Please like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when a new lesson is published. Okay, so let's get into today's lesson. Alright, in today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to control servo motors using a microcontroller. Let's think about this for a second. We know that whenever we put our hand in front of the sensor, it makes something happen. If we put our hand in front of the sensor, the light comes on. If we put our hand in front of the sensor, the buzzer sounds. So if we put our hand in front of the sensor, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Well, that is the question we're going to answer in this video. So first things first, let's go over the mechanical drawings so that we can really visualize in our mind what is going on in the video. So this is our motor shield. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how to install the motor shield. But just for now, it's basically you're plugging. It's like plugging pins into your Arduino. It's the same thing. So you have a ground wire that goes to the negative side, okay, and your 5 volts goes to your power side. Both servo motors and your ultrasonic sensor all attach to this 5 volts, as well as the ground will also attach to all 3 as well. Each servo motor has also a wire that is made to, actually that's how the motor is going to react, is it's going to send electrical signals down these wires. Now I have my servo motors connected to 9 and 10. The left servo is 9, the right servo is 10. And of course, like we've done in every other video, the orange wire is for our echo and the green wire is for our trigger. So 8 is our trigger, 7 is our echo. Make sure that you pause here and you really understand this and that you can complete this mechanical sketch before moving on to the next slide. Okay, all right, so moving on to the next slide, the next part is the setup. Now before we actually do the wiring where I show you step by step how to put the wires in, I'm going to show you in this short little clip how to install so you'll notice that if you look closely here, you got a ground, you got a pin 13, you got a pin 12, you got the same thing here, ground 13, 12, load 2 minor. So the pins on the UV line up with the pins on the motor shield. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to trim you sideways so you can see. And you read the notice on the side, but the pin numbers line up. Okay. And then you really careful if you should read the pins. It's bad news. So put it in one side a little bit. Ton of put in the other side. Once you have both sides in, you want to double check on both sides. You want to make sure that you're all lined up. All lined up there. Take the press here and here all the way down until you can't press anymore. Then you have your motor shield resting on top of your Arduino. You might be thinking, well, there's only 5 volts, but it's not just about the power. These actually have a transformer on here that basically boosts up the amperage so that as you're using your power, it causes the power to sustain or to be at a high level. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the code. Okay, so most of this you're already gonna know. I'm really just gonna point out the new components of the code, and I'll just review the things that you already kind of know about. So after we start the code, we need to include this servo library. So inside of your Arduino IDE or the interface where you do your programming, they have different libraries in there. And there's one in there for your servos. And the cool thing is you don't have to redo this. It just automatically includes this library in there. And just like everything else, we have to define our components. So here we define servo. Oops, excuse me. We define servo. We do left servo, so L servo. Right servo is R servo. So you'll notice in your code whenever you type servo, it'll actually highlight the this word orange. That means there's actually something going on here. Okay. And then just like always, we define the pins for our trigger and our echo. And then here's where we define our distance for our ultrasonic sensor as well. Now we're going to set up our servo, your left servo to 9 and our right servo to 10. Okay. The next thing we do is, of course, we're going to do the input-output for our ultrasonic sensor. You're already familiar with that. And the code that we're going to write in the loop is that it reads the distance from the ultrasonic and turns the servos on. So basically, it turns the servos on if the distance is greater than, it says 5 centimeters here, but I think I used 10. You can really set to any distance you want. You might try 5, but it might be too close whenever you're doing the programming for your rover. 5 centimeters might be too close. Your autonomous rover might not have the capability to be able to turn and avoid objects. So you may need to really test that and really determine, figure out what's the best option. And we've seen this code before. I'm not going to go through again. I'm not going to go through any code that I've already gone through before. You've already done a lot of this. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky, and I want to make sure that you do understand this part, okay? So here's your if-else statement. So if something is happening, then basically, if I throw a ball up, the ball will come down, okay? That's basically what we're trying to determine here. So if the distance is greater than, again, here it says 5 centimeters. I think in my actual code I use 10. But you may set your own threshold here. But if the distance is greater than 5 centimeters, then this left servo is going to spin forward. Okay, and your right servo is going to spin backward. And you might be thinking, why is one spinning forward and one spinning backward? Well, here's why. Is when you have your servos, your servos on there, they're not going to be set up like this. That doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense. Your servos are actually, this one's actually going to be turned around this way. Well, if you take a look, one is facing one direction and one is facing the other direction. So if they were both spinning this direction, if this one was spinning this direction, but needed to be on this side, okay, so it's spinning this way. Now it's spinning backwards. So in order for this to spin forward, we have to spin it backwards. If that didn't just confuse you, but basically it just has to really do with the direction. You can actually test this. You can, turn it this way and then flip it over as you're testing these motors, so you can really figure out. But you do need a right servo and you do need a left servo, and they do need to be spinning in opposite directions. Okay, so if the distance is greater than 5, then you want this basically turning forward, okay? Otherwise, if the distance is less than 5, then what you're doing is you're spinning you're slowing down the left servo from 165 to 94, okay? So slowing it down, and you're also your right servo is spinning. It actually spins the opposite direction. Okay, it's spinning slow, and then there's a 1 second delay, And then you have your right servo spin slower, your left servo spin a little bit slower. Your right servo is going to turn. It's going to delay for about 3/4 of a second, and then it's going to continue moving forward. Okay. So I know I kind of threw a lot at you in that, but basically it's going to be going forward. It's going to see something. It's going to stop. And then it's going to turn, and then it's going to move forward. It's going to shift, and then it's going to go forward in another direction. And this shifting, this is where this shift right in this area is what basically makes the servo turn and avoid objects. All right. So as you can see here, I have my I already have my motor shield on my Eligu. I already have some things already set up. I have my ultrasonic sensor in there. I have my jumper from my ground down to my negative. I don't have my power plugged in. I will actually move that to the side and plug it in later. So I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to look at where I need to plug all of this in. So I'll first do the ultrasonic sensor. The trigger, it looks like, is on pin 8. So I'll go to pin 8. The trigger is actually green, so trigger 8, and then line that up. That means echo is pin 7. So I do that. Of course, you already know how to do this part. That's real easy, right? Right. Okay. The next thing that we'll need to do is we'll need to plug in our it looks like I have my left servo to pin 9. Okay, so I'm gonna plug this one into pin 9. Again, the power and the ground, red and black, will go here. So power, ground. So power and ground can go here for your motor, and then the where the information is sent back and forth from the ultrasonic sensor goes to 9. And I believe that your right servo is attached to pin 10. So y'all have done this before. You know what I'm gonna do next. All right. And then, of course, your power is pin 10, your ground is pin 9, and then there's your right servo. Okay. Now, I've already uploaded this code. The code works really well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this because what's going to happen is that this thing is going to start spinning. Now, I'm going to have to hold these motors, okay? So I'm going to have to hold them with one hand. And then make sure, and then put my hand in front of the sensor with the other. So I'm going to go ahead and plug into the 5-volt here. I will go ahead and next go into the power. Now, as you can see, both motors are spinning. And so what I'll do is I'll put my hand in front of the sensor. I'll move it away. The wheels should adjust, and then they'll start moving in the same direction. Now, you notice again, these two wheels are moving they're moving in this direction, but they're facing opposite. So that's where I was trying to tell you earlier that even though the code is telling it to go backward, it's going backwards because it flipped upside down. So here we go. And then there they go back in the direction again. So I want to thank you for visiting Dr. P Learning. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We will see you on the next lesson.